The instant I stepped through the ballroom doors, the silence that followed was sharp enough to slice skin. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead like they were mocking me. Conversations froze. Champagne flutes halted midair. Then her voice cut through the hush like a blade dipped in acid. Why is she even here? Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. My sister Madison stood by the grand staircase in a wine-colored silk gown that clung like it cost more than my monthly rent. Her eyebrows shot up, her laugh sharp and theatrical, designed for a crowd. She couldn't even afford a dress. Laughter snuck in from a few corners of the room, a ripple of quiet chuckles and knowing smirks. I stood still. My dress was borrowed. A soft slate blue evening gown with a slightly frayed hem, barely zipped at the back. It hung loosely around my frame, but I held my chin high, because my dignity, that wasn't borrowed. That was earned. I didn't answer her. I just smiled. My hands didn't tremble. Not this time. Not anymore. I walked across that marble floor like it belonged to me, because tonight it did. Then, out of nowhere, a familiar voice cut through the music as it returned with low strings. Actually, every head turned toward the stage. My husband, Cole, stepped up to the mic, and the room shifted. He looked devastating in black, calm, composed, the kind of man who didn't need to raise his voice to demand attention. She didn't just afford a dress, he said, his tone cool and even. She designed this entire charity gala. Every light, every table setting, every floral arrangement, every name card. You're standing inside her vision. Dead silence. Then he turned, eyes locking on mine. And every dime raised tonight is because of her work. The silence shattered. Murmurs surged. Chairs creaked as people leaned forward. Someone gasped. Madison went pale. Her jaw worked, but no sound came. I didn't look at her. I walked straight to Cole, the man who never needed to rescue me, but tonight did it anyway.
He took my hand, gently, publicly.
The cameras were already turning toward us, flashes starting to pop. The event was live-streamed. This wasn't just a social win. It was a public correction. But this was only the beginning. Because no one in this room knew what I'd been through to get here. No one knew what Madison did to me 3 years ago. No one knew about the betrayal, the lies, the career sabotage. But they were about to find out. And this time, I wasn't going to stay silent. They whispered all around me as we stepped off the stage. She designed the gala? No way. I thought she was just, his wife. And that's the thing, isn't it? They only see what they expect. And for years, I gave them nothing else. Cole squeezed my hand as we walked past the frozen faces. I could see the questions forming behind the stiff smiles. I'd spent years invisible to them, just the quiet sister, the struggling one, the disappointment. Madison made sure of that. But tonight, that version of me had died the moment she sneered at my dress. We reached our table, table 1, of course. The head table. Madison was seated at table 4, far enough back to feel it. I sat down with the poise I had learned the hard way. Not through charm school, but through humiliation. Through being left out, mocked in family group chats, excluded from holidays, because I was the one who didn't make it. The one who never finished anything. The one who went broke after a failed design startup while Madison climbed corporate PR with charm, lies, and connections. She had no idea that I rebuilt everything in silence. No idea that after the scandal she orchestrated that ruined my name, I moved cities. That I learned everything again from scratch. That I worked under another name, designing sets for commercials, then fashion shows, then luxury weddings, and finally, charity galas. Until my name mattered again.
And tonight?
This ballroom was mine. I glanced toward Madison's table. Her wine glass was trembling in her hand. I saw it happen in her eyes. The moment she realized she wasn't in control anymore. You okay? Cole whispered as the applause settled again. I'm better than okay, I said. but it's just getting started. Across the room, an older woman approached. Elegant. Silver hair. Sharp eyes. She was the president of the hosting foundation.
She smiled at me.
You're the woman who saved this event. Madison's face dropped further. The woman turned to the crowd and clinked her glass gently. Before dinner, I'd like to personally thank the woman who stepped in 3 months ago, redesigned every detail, and brought in 3 major sponsors, Ms. Ava Kavanaugh. My name rang out like thunder. I stood, nodded. The applause this time was hesitant but growing. People were realizing, connecting dots, remembering emails and proposal decks with my name on them. I caught a glimpse of Madison's fiancé looking at me differently, like he saw something in me he hadn't before. That made her jaw tighten. But I wasn't done. I lifted my champagne flute. Thank you. I was honored to contribute to something meaningful. This gala wasn't built with money. It was built with intention. Polite applause again, but louder this time. Then I sat.
Calm. Composed.
But inside me, the storm was just forming. Because Madison didn't just mock me.
She ruined me.
Or thought she had. She was the one who leaked that confidential proposal. The one who told investors I plagiarized a concept I created from scratch. The one who watched my career go up in flames and said nothing. This gala was my return. But revenge? That was coming next.
Dinner was served.
Seared scallops. Balsamic glazed vegetables. A fig tart with edible flowers. I barely touched mine. Because across the room, I could feel her watching me. Madison. Her eyes followed every person who came up to thank me. Every handshake. Every compliment. Every glance her fiancé gave in my direction. But the real blow hadn't landed yet. I was saving that. You are perfect, Cole whispered. Strong. Elegant. Composed. I smiled faintly, but my pulse hadn't slowed since stepping through the doors. Because underneath it all, the praise, the music, the soft clinking of glassware, was the memory. 3 years ago. That email. The one that leaked my design pitch before a critical investor meeting. A pitch I'd been working on for 6 months. The only chance I had left. The email that ruined everything. Sent anonymously to a competitor from Madison's IP address. I'd confronted her. Once. Quietly. She laughed. You were never meant for that world, Ava. I just sped up the inevitable. I didn't cry. Not in front of her. But that night, I packed a single suitcase and left the city.
No job.
No reputation. Just one contact, someone who once said, if you ever need a second chance. That second chance turned into a job at a small venue setup company. I worked under an alias. Ate ramen for months. Slept in a converted storage room. And rebuilt. One design at a time. One late-night sketch. One satisfied client. Until I created a name, one Madison didn't recognize when this gala's board approved me. Until I was strong enough to stand in this room and not shake when she tried to humiliate me again. But I wasn't here just to survive her. I was here to end her game. Because what Madison didn't know, what no one knew, was that this wasn't just any charity gala. It was hosted by the Preston Foundation. And last month, they announced a new creative director position. A permanent one. With full oversight of national events. I was already chosen. But they hadn't made it public. Not yet. As dessert was served, the lights dimmed. A screen dropped from the ceiling. A short video began playing, showcasing the gala's behind-the-scenes effort. Narrated by the foundation president. Clips of design drafts. Mood boards. Assembly. Setup. Team meetings. And me. In every frame. People gasped quietly. Madison's mouth dropped open. She turned to her fiancé. Did you know about this? He didn't answer. Cole leaned closer to me. Are you ready? I've been ready for years, I said. The video ended. Then the president returned to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for supporting tonight's cause. But before we continue, we have one more announcement.
Spotlight.
Stage. Please welcome our new National Creative Director, Ava Kavanaugh. The room exploded. Not with applause. With disbelief. Madison gripped the edge of her table, her knuckles white. I walked to the stage slowly, deliberately, soaking in every stunned face. Every whisper. Every apology unspoken in their wide eyes. I wasn't supposed to be here, I said softly into the mic, once the room settled. I wasn't invited to the table, but I built the table. And now, I get to decide who sits at it. You could hear a pin drop. I didn't need to look at Madison. She was already crumbling. And still, I wasn't done, because the final move would be private, and it would shatter her entire facade. The event wrapped late, but no one left early. Not after that announcement. Not after that speech. I could feel it, the shift. People who once brushed me off now hovered, eager to shake my hand. My inbox was already pinging with messages from event planners, sponsors, media. But I wasn't celebrating yet, because there was one more thing to do. After most of the guests filtered out, the ballroom dimmed again. Staff started clearing glassware. The florals were being boxed for donation drop-offs. I slipped away down a corridor I'd memorized weeks ago when reviewing the floor plan. Madison stood outside the dressing suite, arms folded, pacing. Waiting for me. You little actress, she hissed when she saw me. I bet you loved that applause. I earned it, I replied, cool and calm. You handed me the match. I just used it to light the room.
She scoffed.
Don't pretend you're better than me, Ava. You had nothing. You are nothing. Without Cole, without this moment. No. I cut in, my voice sharper now. Without you. Because of you. You tried to ruin me. You wanted me broken. You laughed while I was rebuilding with scraps. But here's what you didn't plan for. I reached into my clutch and pulled out the printed document I'd carried all evening. She frowned, snatched it from my hand and froze. Her face lost all color. You didn't. I did, I said, voice flat. See, the foundation ran a standard background check on all guest speakers and donors. That includes email audits for prior fundraisers. Imagine my surprise when their IT consultant confirmed that the leak which cost me my career 3 years ago was traced directly to your work server. You can't prove I sent it. No need. They just needed confirmation of intent. And now you're officially blacklisted from every event the Preston Foundation touches. And their partner organizations. That's 47 national charities. Corporate PR firms. Nonprofits. You can't whisper your way out of this. Her mouth opened, then closed. You'll never work in PR again, I said simply. Not the kind of PR that lets you stand at podiums and pretend you're something you're not. You set this all up, she whispered, stunned. No, I said. You did. The moment you sabotaged me. The moment you told people I plagiarized my own work. I just waited. I rebuilt. And I used the pieces you left me. Tears threatened behind her fake lashes, but she blinked them back. And still she tried. Dad will take my side. He always does. I smiled faintly. Already called him. Showed him the receipts. You forgot, he was one of the donors tonight. And now he knows I'm the one who saved the event he invested in. Madison stumbled back against the wall like I'd hit her. I turned to leave.
Paused.
Oh, I added, looking over my shoulder. And the dress you mocked? It belonged to Mrs. Preston. She offered it herself when she heard I didn't have a designer sponsor. She said she hadn't seen grace like mine in decades. I left her there, speechless,
Pale.
and finally small. When I returned to the ballroom, Cole was waiting by the exit. You okay? He asked. I took a long breath. I'm finally done letting her define me. And I meant it. Because tonight wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming the version of me that Madison tried to erase. And now, I was just getting started. The next morning, headlines hit faster than I expected. Ava Kavanaugh named National Creative Director at Preston Foundation. Quiet Sister Stuns Gala with visionary designs and a mic drop moment from her husband. Socialite Madison Lane under scrutiny after PR blacklist announcement. I didn't even have to speak to the press. The room spoke for itself. The footage was already circulating, clips of Madison's face mid-insult, then Cole on stage, then the moment I was announced. People were choosing sides. And they weren't choosing hers. I sat by the window in our apartment, coffee warm in my hands, legs tucked beneath me, still wearing the same robe I used to fold laundry in. Cole walked in from the kitchen and set down a pastry. "You going to eat something today?" I smiled at him. In a minute, just watching it settle. Watching what settle. All of it, I said.
The dust.
The noise. The pieces she kicked loose finally falling where they belong.
He sat beside me.
"You could have destroyed her publicly," he said. "But you didn't." "I didn't need to," I replied. "What she did destroyed her. I just let the truth breathe." He looked at me for a long time, his expression soft. "I married a storm in disguise." "No," I said. "You married the wreckage and waited for the storm to build." We laughed, but it was true. Years ago, he found me when I had nothing but pride stitched to my name. He believed in me quietly, never asked me to explain my silence, never pressured me to get revenge. He just watched me piece myself back together. Madison called him a safe bet once. Said he lacked ambition. He was the reason I never lost mine. A few days passed before I got the text. From Madison. "You win. Happy." I didn't respond, because it was never about winning. It was about being seen for who I really was. A creator. A builder. A survivor who didn't need to scream to be heard. That week, I sat in the Preston boardroom. This time, not as a vendor or contractor, but as the woman shaping the future of their national presence. I was surrounded by respect, not pity. I was given decisions, not instructions. And still, I made time for the team that helped me get here. I elevated the assistants, the florists, the backstage runners. I invited the junior designers to sit in on meetings. I never forgot the version of me that once borrowed a $10 blouse to fake confidence in a world that demanded labels. Madison faded from the scene.
Slowly.
Quietly. The way shame often does. She changed her profile to freelance consultant. Her name stopped appearing in events. Her followers dropped off. I never needed to erase her. She erased the mask she wore, and underneath was someone the world wasn't buying anymore. Months later, at another gala across the country, a young woman approached me, nervous, clutching her sketchbook. I just wanted to say, "I watched what you did that night," she said. "When your sister tried to humiliate you. I was scared to start designing. But then I thought if you could stand there with a borrowed dress and still own a room, maybe I can too." I didn't say much. Just took her card and offered her a mentorship, because my story didn't end with Madison going pale in a ballroom. It ended with another girl believing she was allowed to take up space, even if someone else tried to make her feel small. And that was the real victory. Not revenge, not applause, but the quiet power of becoming.